There is never anything other than this. There isn't anything other than what this is right now. Everything is here. Everything is always available. And there's nowhere to go to get anything more, or anything better, or anything different. It's difficult to see, but on the other hand, it seems incredibly obvious. This is the only moment that there ever is. No matter that you have memory functioning for you and speculation happening for you that seems to string it along, there's only ever this moment. And it's just, that's really what we're trying to talk about, boils down to.
In a way, I find it really strange that you can say something so clear, as you just said, so clear and so from the heart, and so almost obvious, maybe very obvious. And I would say, billions of people just don't believe it. And even ones that are really interested and are looking and have come here, you guys don't believe it, right? I mean, there's such a ground of a timeline in us, and there's such a ground of concepts that say, their life is like this and mine is like that, and I'm pretty well off. But even when you were saying people have very challenging life, it's only challenging in a sense that they know someone else doesn't have those challenges. But it would just be life if they didn't have that sense of another possibility.
But it probably isn't. Challenging is just another thought and another label. And it's a big ask, though, for the ego when you say that there aren't any real challenges, that life is life, no matter what the circumstances are. And I feel my own sort of resistance with just saying that, saying, oh no, we must help, we must go to Africa, and we must stop. Global,
it sounds cruel too,
Yeah,
it sounds so cruel because we want to self-judge ourselves, saying, "Oh, we can't say that to someone."
Have to feed the birds.
There's all sorts of little things that come up around it, like, oh, what will people think if they hear me say? Who cares? But that still comes up, sort of little parts of the ego that it's built to try to make things go smoothly, try to control.
Me too. I just don't want to. I have that, of course, because I don't want to repel people, and just because they got a certain trigger, and then and say something that is really not the main point, but it's just something that happens to also be true. Why emphasize it? Something that grates against somebody.
Oh, but that's really fascinating. That whole sphere of how truthful are we and when we're communicating. There's a guy whose blog I follow who recently wrote a really good essay about we're not really honest at all, ever, with anybody.
Yeah, right.
And sort of reading, I thought, oh gosh, he's right. Y'all going around trying not to hurt people's feelings, and and if we were, I suppose, it's brutally honest, and then there's just saying what we really believe or whatever. I don't know, all these sort of social conventions and mores and things that we do to try to control the interaction with each other in this sort of story that seems to unfold. It might not be the best thing of all to be utterly, totally honest every time you came into contact with somebody. I mean, I was never sort of a traditional seeker of enlightenment or whatever. But I was, that's not what I was calling it. I mean, I think I was just calling it the end of self-destruction or something like that. And I remember the sort of feelings and walls and defenses that would come up. And they seemed almost insurmountable. They seemed so huge. And it's all very well for me to sit here and say something like, all there is this is it. But somebody who is in that kind of really dreadful, very painful place of suffering and resistance, it's going to be very difficult for them to see this. And there isn't a process, because a process implies time. But a lot of seekers, even if they're not calling it seekers, seem to have to go through some kind of a process of ripping things away, getting rid of crap, things that are just in the way of seeing what is completely obvious.